My name is Bryce Clarke, and I'm an acting detective in the Diversion and Desistance branch, currently working with Warrant Management Unit. When I grew up as a kid, I watched my dad go off to work every day, super happy to go to work. He was such a positive role model in that, and he always told me, he goes, if you can ever find something that you love doing and turn that into your career, it'll never feel like you've worked a day in your life. I was lucky enough to get on the Edmonton Police Service. The first day my boots hit the street, I knew that that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And it hasn't seemed like a day of work.
When we join and we go through recruit class, we have quite extensive physical training and mental training and shooting and whatnot. And we do that as a group, and like any hockey team or any sports team or any team period, when we have that common goal together, we really truly sweat and bleed together to get to where we want to go, which is graduate from recruit class.
When I first became a member, and it was during recruit class, the camaraderie that the class showed was incredible. We all bonded so fast and so quickly.
We all have the same experiences and understanding, and we know what it's like to pull out all the stops, that's physically and mentally, in order to help not only officers, but help people in need. So that bond can become, and does become, very strong for most.
My first call, I'm with my training officer. We're running out to the police car from the station because there's a call ongoing of a big disturbance at a local bar. So my training officer at the time says, keep your eyes open. This is the description of the person. We see him running down the sidewalk, and my training officer kicks me out of the car and says, go get him. It was a foot chase followed by a quick scuffle to get the guy handcuffed and under control. Right from that second, it was like, oh my God, this is the best job in the world. I can't believe I'm going to get paid to do this.
Both of us being new to the street, the idea was to learn as much as we could, and we learned by repetition. So the more calls we could go to, the faster we were going to learn. Policemen
are a special breed because we're somebody who's very passionate, probably about two things, about helping people in the community, but also helping them by protecting them. And that means that somebody has to go out and somebody has to keep the bad people away from the good people.
Every day working on White Ave that summer was, we were on the brink. It just felt like you were on the brink of another riot. Something big was about to erupt, especially on the weekends, Friday or Saturday nights, getting later into the night as the bars started emptying out and stuff. You knew it was stressful, but it was exciting. At the same time, you're like, oh God, please don't let anything happen. August 25th, it was an afternoon shift, so it worked into August 26th, last shift before we go back to our respective units. So I invited everybody out. So I think there was 12 or 13 guys came out, and we were all having fun and having a hot tub, having a few drinks. And I opened up the swimming pool that I had, which was just off the deck and down on the ground. One thing led to another, and I did something I'd done 1,000 times. And that was, I stood up on the railing of the deck and I dove into the swimming pool. When I dove in, all I remember hearing is I just heard a loud crack. The doctors told me that, number one, you'll never walk again. Number two, you'll never work again. Number three, you'll have to move off your acreage. Number four, you will not be a productive member of society any longer. You'll be relying on caregivers and people to help you with every aspect of your life. It was very negative, very bleak.
The medical community, their intentions are good, but they don't always get it. They're almost trying to disempower you by going, look, you've got this injury, you got to live with it. This is who you are. But they don't say enough. This is what you can do, however.
Well, Bryce lost, for all lack of better terms, his use of his body. The perseverance to come out of something like that is so amazing of a story in itself. because it makes me realize that the troubles that I've had personally in my life, or that I see other people having, even though they're a perspective. So what's a big deal to me may not be a big deal to you, and what's a big deal to you may not be a big deal to me. But I think we can all agree what happened to Bryce is a big deal to everybody.
The disabled community tends to be a low-income community, so if you don't have a regular job, if you're not working, you might find it hard to get the things that you need in your life.
I remember going into the office the first day, knowing that I was back on payroll and I was back as a sworn member, was probably the biggest accomplishment I'd felt since getting into recruit class before my accident.
One of the biggest hurdles that he would have had to overcome, not just the physical barriers themselves, is staying mentally positive and focused and driven, because a lot of that it has to be internal.
You can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. Bryce had the motivation and the desire to move forward.
I think for me, that's a reminder to be humble.
We would attend Capital X at fairgrounds. The issue had come the year before in 2006. There was a lot of drug dealers and gang members attending the fairgrounds and doing business, and having the potential for a violent incident was very apparent. So in 2007, we organized this where I would then be undercover. I'd be in my wheelchair and would stroll around the grounds of the Capital X and find different gang members or different drug dealers, criminals that are attending the fair. And I would stroll up close to them and try to hear their conversations. Are they talking about drugs? Are they talking about crime? What are they talking about? My chair was all wired with a radio and microphone. So I just had to hit a button and I'd back away from whoever the target was. And it worked great. For 2007, 2008, 2009, we did it. We removed a whole lot of bad people from the fairgrounds. Definitely, we felt that the fairs were more safe. There was a lot less propensity for a violent incident to occur.
When we face the unknown, how we face it is what kind of person we are. And Bryce faced it with his chin up, with a smile on his face, and truly ventured where he's never been before and I've never been before and probably likely won't be, and has done very well. And he's literally said, hey, I can overcome this, you can overcome anything.
Team members bring their own strengths and weaknesses to the teams, and that's part of what makes a strong team, is finding those balances. This member brings this strength, this member brings another strength, and they make the whole group stronger. Bryce 100% is still, in the units he plugs into, is still a part of those teams. He's contributing in a positive, investigative manner.
You have to ask. You have to advocate for yourself. You can't wait for somebody to offer you something. You've got to search it out. Go to people you know that are in different areas and say, can I come and help somewhere? Is there something that I can do? Can you, as soon as you start knocking on doors for yourself, you're going to create more opportunities. You have to advocate for yourself because nobody else is going to do that.
He's the kind of guy who lost his use of his legs and arms and wanted to come back to work to do a good job. Not only for himself, because Bryce is driven that way, but for everybody else, but to set an example for everybody else. And it's amazing. It's amazing. If everybody said, would you hire somebody with would you hire somebody who's a quadriplegic in your office? Well, 30 years ago, you might say, geez, I don't know how they're going to do the work here. I don't understand how they're going to fit in here. Fast forward beyond Bryce's thing, I say, absolutely.
Think of yourself as a temporary upright, or think yourself as temporary able. At any point in your life, that can change. So try and be more understanding of people with disabilities And if you can help somehow, great.
You don't know what people go through behind the scenes. Give people some slack. Give people some consideration. You don't know what they're going through. A smile goes a long way. Just be accepting and don't judge people.